I really like about this scene that I think we've gotten used to the trope of the woman who is so tough that, nothing phases her. She's raped, she's tortured, she's kidnapped, and she's still, oh, I'm so tough, I'm going to kick you in the face with my stiletto heels. And she has, come on. I'm not going to name the book, but there was one where the main character, I finally realized this all happened within 4 months. He's been hiding in a cave. He's had his nephew kidnapped. He's had a bullet graze literally through the side of his head here. I forget what all else. He's survived a massive hurricane at sea. And I'm thinking, and probably some more than that, all of this within 4 months, and you're totally unfazed. I'm not buying it. You're not even saying, man, I need a nap. You're just like, let's keep going. So
There's enough performance enhancing drugs. You don't need that.
Right. Giving away the book, they were then running away from British soldiers and stopped to have sex on a rock in the middle of a stream. And I'm like,
I remember this book. Yes.
No, you didn't. Suspension of disbelief is gone. I don't care how horny you are. You did not stop to do that outdoors while British soldiers are chasing you, trying to kill you. So I like that author's work, but that was, come on. So I was glad to see that she's having some reaction, clearly some PTSD. Have you kind of seen this close up? Do you have some personal experience, or is this based on research?
Well, my dad suffers from terrible PTSD from Vietnam. And so it's been almost 60 years. And he still has flashbacks and he still has nightmares. So I know firsthand that trauma like that does not go away. I have someone in my immediate family who suffered some trauma, and 2.5 years later, that trauma is still there, and there's triggers for it, and that's never leaving either. And so, the whole reason why people can't fall in love is the core of a romance novel. I had an editor tell me if their conflict can be solved over a cup of coffee, it's not strong enough. And so, the core wounds that your characters have that keep them from falling in love, they should go back to their childhood. They should go back years. They should be festering for a long time. More trained than you, and I can protect you, so let me do it.
Do you face any pushback from, I should say, do you see the tide swinging at all to people being a little more realistic about the fact that there are differences between men and women? And it's, are they more willing all of a sudden to let men protect them or read books where that's acceptable?
I think that the tide is swinging towards, and it has been for a while, towards the main female characters being stronger and not being damsels in distress, where they can help themselves, they can protect themselves. But part of the process of falling in love, right, is trusting someone, is letting someone see your vulnerabilities and letting your defenses down. And so that's what plays into them falling in love and overcoming the things that they need to. So, you have this woman who's putting up a front for everybody, like Beth has been putting up a front, for the past 2 years. And she's met Cain in book 1, right? We get the history of what happened there. And we talked a little bit about, when he drove her to the hospital and when she had a nightmare. Well, we'll find out more about that later on. And she hasn't talked to Cain about why she had a nightmare. She hasn't talked to Cain about why she freaked out, right? Because she's trying to keep it together. And so once she starts to trust him, once he starts to prove that I am on your side, I'm not going to judge you, I will do anything for you, then she opens up to him and lets him see her vulnerabilities.
Okay. That's
very neat. Toast the cold with, our mulled wine.
Well, of course, here in Tennessee, it's downright balmy compared to what we're used to in Duluth. Your story reminded me of when my son, the Marine, came to visit us in Duluth. And we were at Gooseberry Falls, and below the falls, there's a pool that's maybe, a little higher than waist height. And so he had recently been in Texas. He spent most of his enlistment in Hawaii, but he was briefly in Texas. And he got a love for cowboy boots there, which I understand you share.
Yeah.
And he got a love for cowboy hats. And so he had on his Lone Star State swimming trunks, which, probably went halfway to his knees. But he was in this pool that, of course, was up to his waist, wearing a cowboy hat. And so, you couldn't see the swimming suit. And so some of my other kids were running around Gooseberry Falls, and they heard these two older women going, "There's a naked cowboy in the pool. Let's go." And it took them a minute, and they're like, "They're talking about my brother." So I thought I would show you, since we're now in Tennessee, of course, we had to get cowboy boots. So
Nice.
here are mine.
Very
and
nice.
They weren't cheap. And so I didn't want to wear them outside. So I didn't wear them for, I don't know, a year or more. Well, maybe not that long. And I finally said, this is stupid. That's what they're there for. So these are Chris's.
Yes, these are mine. Yes, with the American flag.
Yep.
Very nice.
So, do you have any of yours, or you sent me a picture with the whole collection?
I sent you a picture. They're in the other room.
Yeah, do you want to talk about your publishing journey at all? I think that's of interest to a lot of aspiring writers. Did you go the independent route, the traditional route?
So my intent was to be a traditional author. I was a teenager when I decided I wanted to publish books. And so independent publishing was not a thing, right?
It didn't exist.
I had a vision in my head of getting a call from an editor and taking the ferry over to New York and the elevator up to their office and being handed a pen and signing a contract, just like you see on TV. And then I did not get serious about my writing career until I was in my mid 40s. I wrote a book when I was 25. I didn't start finish another book until I was 47. So we have independent publishing now, but 16-year-old Kristie still had that vision in her head.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote Too Dangerous to Love. I got 2 contract offers with smaller publishers, and I landed an agent.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to turn down the smaller publishers. The advice I got was, you're not going to make much money if you're going to go that route. You just independently publish. But the agent thought that she could do bigger and better things with my book. So we revised it. She tried her best. We got really, really close, like tearfully close, like past rounds of editors, and the marketing and finance people would say no. And that happened a couple times with some big names. And then I got it in my head that I was going to write for Harlequin. So I wrote a couple books geared towards Harlequin, and Too Dangerous to Love made it through the first editor. And then her boss said no because of the sci-fi elements, because Harlequin has very strict guidelines because their readers expect the same experience every time.
Right.
And so after I finished those, I'm sorry, what?
I was just going to say, don't they have a lot of additional imprints now, though?
They do.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had submitted it to Romantic Suspense. And that experience taught me that I was not a Harlequin writer, because I had to cut a lot of words out of my book to meet their guidelines. I had to tone down my sex scenes. I had to take out most of the curse words. And I have 4 special forces. I've been around a lot of military people and special forces. They curse a lot. And so there were elements. I didn't feel like my book anymore. I knew that they would change my title. I knew that I wouldn't get the cover of my dreams, probably. And so even though it was a little disappointing, I was like, maybe this isn't the route for me. And so I eventually came to the decision to independently publish. I got really frustrated because I like to I like to make things happen for myself. And I didn't, like, I'd sent the book over to my agent and then I just had to wait. It was out of my hands. I didn't
Right.
like, I couldn't follow up with anybody. I couldn't make phone calls. I couldn't send it to other people on my own because it was all up to my agent. And so once I made the decision to do it myself, I just went gung ho, right? Like I had a lot of friends that I could ask questions, you know, like how do I do this? How do I do this? And, you know, just learned as much as I could and I went ahead and I did it.